Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neal, and Jeff. This is Triviality. The cream of the crop!
Hello and welcome to Triviality, the game where lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. My name is Neal, joined in the studio with Matt, Ken, and Jeff. How's it going, guys?
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
So today's special. It's another episode of our Behind the Trivia series. And we're super, super excited to have a special guest today, Jennifer Cheon. She's a great actress. She's from Vancouver. You might have seen her in Van Helsing as the badass Ivory. You might have seen some of her work in the web series The Drive. She won a Leo Award for that. And also
she flew all the way in from Vancouver.
She did. She did. In a very old plane. But she's been in many, many TV shows that you guys have seen, Colony, Supernatural, Arrow, amongst others. So welcome to our digital studio. Jen, how's it going?
Hi, it's going really well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Well, I guess to start off with, we mentioned that you are from Vancouver, and if a lot of people don't know, they kind of call Vancouver the Hollywood of the North. There's just a lot of filmmaking going on up there. So how did you get started, I guess, in terms of acting and in your career?
Well, it started at a really young age. I just always kept performing, and my parents are like, what the hell do we do with this girl? So they put me into dance, and I started doing dance and musical theater. And then when I got older, I started modeling. And then it was actually after I was graduating from high school, and I was modeling at the time. And I needed a summer job, and I was talking to my agent at the time, and she was like, you should try background. And I was like, background of what? And she said, well, TV shows. I'm like, that's a thing? You can do that? Like, I always wanted to be in the movies, but I grew up in a farm, middle of nowhere. Like, the idea of being in a movie or on a TV show or anything of that nature was just so far-fetched. So when she said background, and I was like, oh my God, really? That's so cool. You get paid to just watch things?
Well, you gotta start
like,
really
sure.
You gotta start really far from the camera, and then they gradually move you closer inch by
and
inch.
I gradually was working my way forward. No, definitely. And a lot of actors do start in background. They just don't like to admit it, I find. But I mean, you learn so much. You learn set etiquette. You learn just what the do's and don'ts when you're on set, and how the politics work and all of that stuff. So, and then I got to a point where I was just like, that acting bug just kept itching and itching and itching. And I was like, oh, I want to pursue it. But it was a little bit of a battle because in my household, like, you go to school, you get your education, and then you're that. Like, both of my siblings are lawyers. Wow. I was always battling with my parents, like, to go do the responsible thing and to go back to school, but my head was always in the clouds, always wanted to be performing and going and try acting. But it took a little while for me to, for lack of a better expression, but get the balls to actually do it. And it wasn't until like 2000, I think I did like a couple little indie things, but then in 2009 is when I really decided I'm either going to do this and fail and then be a freaking background for the rest of my life, or I'm just going to go, and I'm not going to, I don't have any other option here. Like, this is all I want. And little by little, just grinding away. And now I'm here. So I'm really glad it worked out, because I had no plan B. Yeah. Absolutely no plan B.
It's pretty amazing as a job out of high school, because my job out of high school was pushing shopping carts, and I thought I can pursue it and reach the highest level, but it just wasn't for me, apparently.
You're just
I still got faith in you, man. You can still do it.
See, you got a supporter there, Matt. You talking about being in the background, it made me think of my high school theater days, where when you were in the background, you had to say watermelon over and over, so it looked like you were actually talking.
Yeah, and peas and carrots.
Peas and
That's
peas
one
and
I
carrots.
So if you're
Peas
really
and
like
carrots.
paying attention to most TV shows, everyone's kind of talking about salad in the background.
A really gross salad with peas and carrots and watermelon.
There's a nice summer fling to it. So.
I mean, with the right sauce, it could be really good.
It is all about the
know.
sauce. You're right. Well, growing up in Vancouver, you said that you grew up outside of the city. So, were you into just outdoorsy activities like horse riding, camping, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, horseback riding was kind of a must because that was what my dad did. So we grew up riding and taking care of the horses and what everything that comes with that. So like fixing fences, shoveling poo, like
All the glamour jobs.
moving hay, like everything. So yeah, it was a lot of outdoor life. And I think that's also why we never really fell into I guess the family business of horses, because it was the thing that we had to do, you know? So everyone kind of branched out into their own things. And my dad's like, great, I have all of this equipment, all of this stuff. Everyone has children right now so that they can ride horses. And so hopefully that works out for him. But yeah, no, it was a lot of outdoor stuff. And being Canadian, that's kind of your, you got such lush forests and lakes and mountains that camping is just what you do, I think, as a good old Canadian, right?
In between games of hockey, I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm sorry, I just
curling,
I just
maybe.
attended a Blackhawks game in which the Vancouver Canucks went down pretty hard in overtime. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, I'm used to it. The Canucks kind of, God bless them.
They
I'm
try,
trying
yeah.
to believe.
As Cubs fans, we
But
were
it
there
is an
until
undying
2016.
love.
So
Yeah, we were there, as
man.
Matt said, as Cubs fans. No, I was going to say I'm not really a hockey fan, but I do enjoy their logo, so they have that going for them, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome.
they're gonna have that new rivalry with the Seattle team whenever they launch. So that'll be pretty cool for you guys up there.
That is always fun. Well, we don't have a basketball team, so then we kind of piggyback on Seattle. We don't have NFL, obviously, so then we piggyback on Seattle. So we like to share, you know.
It's the Canadian way.
Well, speaking of horses, and
Yeah, right.
we're not
Yeah.
gonna make it hard trivia, but we just have 2 questions about horses.
Horse quiz.
Now, I will
Oh, gosh.
I will preface
Neal,
this.
how did you know?
I will preface this by saying I don't know anything about horses. It is a dream of mine to ride one. I've never ridden one, but hopefully one day. We'll see. But
Well, if you're ever in Canada, let me know. If you're ever in Vancouver.
I will. I think I don't know do you know Alex Panovic?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I know Alex.
he I've known him for a long time, and he promises to train me because I'm very, very frail and skinny, and he said he'll teach me to box. So when I come there to learn to box, you can teach me how to horse ride.
You go on side saddle, Neal?
Sounds good. When he teaches you how to box, I want to be there too, because I love boxing as well. So.
Oh, great! No, that'd be awesome.
Just want to watch.
Well, it's not going to be pretty,
Neal's
but
going to get his ass kicked.
By the bag.
So I guess just 2 questions here. The first question, and maybe some of our listeners will know this. What is the part of the saddle that goes under the horse's belly called?
Girth?
Girth is correct.
All
right out of the
right.
gate.
1 for 1.
1 for 1.
Oh my God. Does my dad ever listen to this?
If you get one wrong, we'll edit it
Yeah,
out.
we'll just cut it out.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's how we sound so smart on the show all the time.
And if you get them all right, tell your dad to listen.
Yeah, right.
Perfect.
And then the second horse question here, one that we've gotten wrong at trivia before, so we just thought we would see if you know it. And if you need multiple choice, we can give it to you. But the question is, in a measurement, how high is a hand?
A hand is a foot, isn't it?
Not quite.
Roughly?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Let's see. Let's see. I'll give you multiple choice here. 2, 3, 4, or 5 inches.
Oh, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4 is correct.
5?
You are correct. I heard 4. I heard 4. Yeah,
You know, I've heard
I'll
that
try to
question
get
like 4
4.
times,
4 is correct.
and
Yeah.
I and I still can't get it right, and I know it.
I know. We never get that question right.
And here's your last horse question, Mr. Ed. No, I'm just playing.
The answer was peanut butter.
Yeah.
They put peanut butter in his mouth. Nobody knows that little trick.
Oh, to make it
Oh,
look like
really?
he was talking?
I actually knew that one.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We'll phrase it as a question next time. So
Oh, so close.
One of our favorite performances of yours, which we know you talked about before, is Ivory on Van Helsing, which is just a pretty insane character, pretty awesome character. And you kind of already mentioned it already that you love to box, but it's a pretty physical character. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got the role and how you enjoy bringing the physicality to it?
Well, I got the role the old-fashioned way. I went in and I auditioned, and it was actually just supposed to be a couple of episodes, but I guess I just never let them let me go.
You killed the most vampires in your audition, though. So.
Threatened them all, getting me on the show. No, I'm kidding.
that's how Jeff stays on the show too. So.
Yeah, so it was originally supposed to be just a couple of episodes, but through time, I don't know what happened, but they kept me on, and it is a really physical role. I wasn't as fit in the beginning, but when we were doing a lot of stunt rehearsals and stuff, I was thinking, my God, like, I really need to step this up because she's a vampire. Like, getting tired is not really a choice when it comes to being an immortal. So I started training in Muay Thai and also working a lot with our stunt team and our stunt coordinator, Kamani Smith. And he really helped me, push me to, get my sword work, get how to throw an axe around and learn little tricks and stuff like that, just so that you really be this powerful creature. And, I just really love the fact that I get to kind of fill that childhood dream of mine where I get to actually look like a badass. So I was happy to learn as much as I possibly could to get into it. And now I'm working with a trainer named Thomas Taylor, and he's amazing, and he kicks my ass in every sort of way. He has me doing the craziest climbing core exercises, like climbing up ropes and doing like pushing him on this, like, with football players, how they push those
the carts, the
what are they
sleds.
called?
Sounds like Rocky IV.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know if Ivory's ever going to be pushing that much weight, but at least it sells the look. And
Are you doing this all in a Russian
that
barn?
costume again. Oh yeah. No, it's kind of like an underground gym where it's funny. He trains a lot of people on some of the DC shows that are also being filmed in Vancouver. So at various times of the day, you just see like Barrow going in and working out and blah, blah, going in and working out. So it's like a little place where I guess we all try and become our superhero-like characters. So he's very responsible for that.
It's mostly a vampire gym, so it has to be underground where the sunlight can't get.
It really does. But now she can go out during the day. Now she's a day walker. So.
But on that note,
that's good.
What if you had to go toe to toe with one of the vampires in any form of media? Who would you go with? Who would you fight?
Like not just on our show, but in any show.
Any vampire.
But has to be a vampire. Ooh, who would I go up against? If I could go up against any vampire in the history of vampires, it would probably be Akasha, because she was the queen. And I just, I really like her outfit, so I'd probably want to fight her, and then just so I can wear it.
You just take
and
it
then,
now, who would
on our show,
who would you interview?
I would love to fight Who would I interview?
Yeah, what vampire would you interview?
Oh my God! Like interviewing Brad Pitt. I would interview Brad Pitt.
That is the correct answer,
Well,
actually.
hey, your door prize is Brad Pitt's right behind you.
Woo!
He is eating something right now, though, so it's going to take him a second.
All right, fine.
I don't think it would be unfair if I said I would want to fight Robert Pattinson.
And I thought you would go in that direction.
Only because I think I
Oh
could
my
take
God!
him
I
in real
totally
life.
forgot about the Twilight kid. For
Technically vampires.
sure, Robert Pattinson. While he's all like sparkling in the sun. Oh,
I just thought he looked kind of sickly and anemic, and I could fight him. But
No, that was just me training at the gym with Jen.
Wasn't some of that filmed in Vancouver, too?
I think parts of that were.
Twilight
yeah,
series?
all of them. But the first one was, I believe.
They got their stuff
Yeah.
together after that first movie. And
Yeah, we had a lot of tourists just looking around for Robert Pattinson.
Oh, that's a sad
was
It's crazy
Master.
how much money those kids made on that film, or on those films. And to think how long ago it was actually like, when was the last film that came out? Whew.
2014.
Oh, Neal, you don't know
That was it was Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Part 2, obviously.
Which I did see in the theater,
man.
but
Several times.
that was 2012. That was
I'm glad you're honest about it, though.
if you listen to the show after this, which we hope you become a listener, there's many skeletons of my closet that come out every episode. So
It's all out there.
Neal has nothing to
But
hide.
you know what? I don't think you're very alone. I think a lot of people watch Twilight. They just don't admit it.
Based on the box office returns, I would say yes. Many people watch those movies.
Many people.
well, for me, it was for a reason though, which I believed in. I was doing children's theater. I was directing kids, and they were kind of being unruly. And I said, if you guys behave, I'll read Twilight and talk to you about it. And they didn't believe me, and I read it in like 2 days. I came back and I talked to them about Twilight, and then they behaved the rest of the year. So it worked.
Oh my God. Good to know. If I ever need
If you have
to
unruly children.
communicate with some youngsters.
Except now they just ask you to play Fortnite for the same amount of time, and they do their
The flossing or whatever.
the flossing
Yeah.
dance.
As we move on, or I should say before we move on, as far as Van Helsing and all the Helsingers, we know it's a very rabid fan base. They love the show. They love you. They love all the cast members. For anyone listening who's a fan of the show, what would be your message going forward of what they can look forward to, or maybe where you want to see it go?
I would love to see more of the sisterhood, personally. And I know some through Twitter and communicating with some of the other fans that wonderful fans that watch the show. Thank you if you're listening for all your love and support and art. Really, really, really appreciate it. And some of them have talked about wanting to see more of the sisterhood and more of the origin of that, and some flashbacks. I would love a flashback on Ivory. We had one season 2 when she got burned at the stake, but I would love to see how then she became a sister, or was she always kind of part, like how it evolved into being immortals, like where the root of where it came from and how it came to be. That is probably what I'm hoping to see this season. The scripts actually I heard are being sent out really soon, so I'm pretty excited.
Do we get an exclusive here?
Yes. Pardon me?
Do we get an exclusive here? Will you,
Spoil the whole.
spoil the
I really love you guys, but I really want to keep my job.
There you go.
That's fair.
That's very fair.
That seems like a really prudent decision.
But I'll give you an exclusive after.
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds like a deal.
Sweet.
Now, before you talked about the sisterhood, so before we move on to a couple questions we had, Jeff has a fact here. We went to Salem, Massachusetts, and a visit. We had a sort of a trivia competition called Geek Bowl, and we toured Salem. And Jeff taught us some stuff here. Jeff, on our show, you'll learn, we kind of make fun of him and say that he's actually, because we're always wrong and he corrects us, which is good. He should do that. But Jeff, you explain what the question is, and maybe we'll see if John knows it.
Well, you were talking about how some of the vampires were burned at the stake, but do you know the most common way of executing witches during the Salem witch trial? A lot of people think it's being burned at the stake, but it's not.
Was it decapitation?
No, they were actually. Correct me if I'm wrong, Neal. They were drowned
Hanged.
Oh,
or hanged.
I was
Hanged.
just about.
Unlike John Proctor.
Yeah, hung and drowned.
I have to say too, though, standing in Salem, just as a small tangent, was so weird because you look at the tombstones of John Proctor and all the other people who are there, and you can't believe that it was some time ago, but it was kind of sort of recent in the narrative of history. It's like, I can't believe we did that.
Yeah, no,
that's not
true.
good.
It's kind of scary how if you think of certain things that are going on today, how it wasn't that long ago that society was operating in a different way. So it's kind of scary when you really think about it.
Yeah, or some of the things
where we were before and where we could go. Like it's
But there's a lot of good people out there, including yourself, and I know you've put a good cause in front of you as well with Dressember. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, you are. Well, Dressember is basically like a scholarship program, and they're just trying to raise money so that we can help people that have come out of sex trafficking and give them a new start. And so that's basically what it's about. And then there was a challenge for the month of December to wear a dress every day, and thankfully snow in Vancouver didn't start until like a few days ago. So I managed to be able to wear a dress every day, and I was pretty excited about that. But yeah, and you can go to their website if you want to pitch in any sort of way. Anything helps. And also there are some lovely dresses designed by members of the team that can, that you can purchase, and all the proceeds, all the money goes to helping somebody get a new life.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm sure that's not just in December where they take donations and do their fundraising. Matt, you have that website handy?
Yeah, so I'm just pulled it up right here. It's dressember.org. And if you really read through a lot of this, it's so sad to see. It says more than 30 million people are currently enslaved worldwide, and human trafficking generates over 150 billion a year. So this is kind of something that we don't really talk about necessarily, and it's good to kind of get that word out there.
There's a lot of darkness out there, but thank you for
anybody that can help. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for providing a little bit of light in that darkness.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Oh, of course. We just wanted to shine a light on that because it's such a worthy cause. And that's what we try to do that with any guest that we have that is, gracious enough to join us anytime when the show's over. If they'd like to talk about an organization, they'd like anyone to check out. We want to make sure that, we can use the platform to spread the word and just get more people involved. With this specific organization, they even have a 5K. Looks like it's going to be happening in LA that you can support if maybe your support, you want to do it in a different way, which I think is great. So, thank you for kind of bringing that organization to our attention, because we didn't know that until we were getting ready to interview, and now it's just something very interesting and something that we're hoping to be a part of.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys so much for wanting to be a part of it and talking about it, bringing that up. I really do appreciate it.
Of course. Now, with your filmography, you've done a lot of TV, as you said, in VC, and some of those are some of our favorite shows here in the studio. I was a huge Supernatural fan. I don't get to watch it as much as I used to, but I was very, very avid for a very, very long time. And you had a really fun role on that one. You got to get into a few tussles. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, Dean killed you, but you still live on in our hearts.
Frickin' Dean.
So we have sort of a few Supernatural-esque trivia questions that I think you might find fun, and we can give you some hints too.
Oh man, okay.
Have you watched all 30 seasons?
A lot of seasons.
Yeah, right.
That's 13. I think they celebrate their 300th episode or something like that.
Jeez.
It's pretty insane.
And they got renewed, so congratulations to the Supernatural fam.
Yes,
yeah, it's a crazy fandom.
The show is going to be immortal like the demons that are on it.
I mean, you know what? I'm so happy for those guys. They're so hardworking, and just being on set, it's incredible the type of rapport that's there. And when you step on that set, I know everyone always says that it's like you step onto a family, but it is. It's just this like well-oiled machine, and just things move quickly. It's just, they perfected it. They really, really perfected shooting television series. Like, they're on point. You walk on there, everyone's so comfortable, and you know, you're the new kid coming on to season 12 or 11, I can't remember now.
Wow.
But yeah, no, congratulations, guys, if you are listening.
And it's a good thing those two fellas work so hard, because they are not that good looking.
Right?
Harsh.
Oh my goodness, I know.
Now we'll get all the Tumblr
thing
people
that
after us.
Pardon me?
We'll get all the Tumblr people after us after that one.
Well, I guess the first question is more of an opinion, I guess. So Sam and Dean are always in the car. They're always traveling on the road, going to town to town, which Vancouver does a great job of emulating basically all of the U.S. But which of them, of the actors, Jensen or Jared, would you want to spend time with on a road trip? Like, who would be the most fun to hang out with?
That's a hard. They're just so good together. Why would you want to break them up?
Yep, that's the right answer.
That's the correct
You get
answer.
both of them, yeah.
That's the correct answer.
Right? Like, how? I don't. It's like peanut butter or jelly.
Mm-hmm.
One of
Always
them's in the
both.
truck cab, and the other one's in the back of the pickup. And then you can swap them out.
Just cram in there. And they're tall. They're very tall. So I felt very short and petite next to them. It was kind of nice.
Well, speaking of their car, that's the trivia question. Basically, is a lot of people love the car that they drive. Do you happen to know what kind of car it is? You don't have to know the year, but what kind of car they drive?
I know it's black.
It's black, and it might be playing a Bob Seger song.
It's an Impala, isn't it?
It is a Chevy Impala. You're right, 1967.
Wow. There you go.
Woo!
You're on a roll.
Yes.
This question, I think you might know. So Sam is played by Jared Padalecki, and Dean is portrayed by Jensen Ackles, as we said. Like Jensen, Jared also had the chance to play a character named Dean on what show from the creators of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Give me a hint.
He played the first boyfriend of a character named Rory, played by Alexis Bledel.
I have no idea.
Show about a couple of girls,
A couple of girls from Connecticut.
possibly with the last name Gilmore. Possibly.
Oh my God, Gilmore Girls?
That is right.
That is correct.
Whoa.
Oh God.
Well, you're getting a Gilmore
You really
Girls
didn't have to
question in
paint
here.
that one out for me, huh?
If you know Neal is definitely going to ask a Gilmore Girls question.
Yeah, my girlfriend is the biggest Gilmore Girls fan, so I had to do it for her.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be
Well,
about the
I
Dean
understand.
from Community.
It's pretty funny because I don't think I've seen any Gilmore Girls episodes before, but I will now,
Yes,
just so that next time we have this conversation.
it's a strong
Nail
recommend
it.
for me, I think. Good show.
They also came back. Like they had their season ending, and then they ended up being revived, didn't they?
Yeah, that was
Did I read that correctly?
it was the Day in the Life. Yeah, it was 4 parts. They were basically like mini movies for each season of the year.
Yeah, Gilmore women now, right? Because they're
Yeah.
older.
They're a little older, yeah, a little older, a little wiser.
Yeah.
And the last supernatural question here, you were at the episode, like you said, it was season 12, episode 12. It was called "Stuck in the Middle with You." The song "Stuck in the Middle with You" by Steeler's Wheel was probably made most famous during a torture scene in what film? By Quentin Tarantino.
Let me think. By Quentin Tarantino. Oh, Reservoir Dogs?
That's it. Reservoir Dogs. Yep. Michael
Neal's
Was
Madsen.
that,
favorite.
was that it?
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I can't not hear that song and
So
just see him dancing around in a warehouse.
I'm like sweating over here, guys.
Putting her through the ringer.
Well, see, I can't box, but we can put you through the mental
Yeah.
ringer.
Is this harder than pushing a sled? I don't
Oh my
know.
God.
It's equal.
So we talked about Supernatural. You were also on Minority Report. You were a pretty great bodyguard on that show. We were actually just going to
Very
ask
quiet.
you, very quiet. And even though the show didn't get to continue after one season, but it was fun, at least while it lasted, we wanted to know, as a bodyguard, anyone fictional, non-fictional throughout history, who would you want to be your bodyguard if you could choose anyone?
If I could choose anybody to be my bodyguard, it would be Lucy Liu.
Oh, yeah. She's awesome.
I would love her. You know, and you would think, oh, wow, just a pretty girl, and then she'll just like ninja chopping and be dead.
Yeah.
That's how it happens.
That's a good call.
I feel like she would be very effective.
I've watched that scene in Kill Bill
And
like
then,
100
you
times.
know, the classic big guy, I would have to say The Rock, just because I feel like he could lift me.
Also, you just want to hang out with The Rock, too, which would be nice.
Right.
He might be the
That
funniest
too.
person who's
I
not
think
like a
that would be a lot of
comedian.
fun.
Yeah.
Him and Lucy Liu.
Oh,
Now,
together.
see,
really
that
good.
should be the new twins.
Let's make that a movie.
Oh my God.
Get that screenplay written. Yeah.
Because I can
That would
just,
be hilarious.
I'll write the screenplay. I could just see a scene where they're in like a really crowded area and things are, you know, shit's hitting the fan, and then The Rock's like, just hold on a second. He like bench presses her up in the air so he'll carry her out so she's safe. I think that would happen.
Let's write this
That would
script.
be
Is
perfect.
The Rock
You know,
and
I
Lucy
actually
Liu?
was a bodyguard for Aziz Ansari when he was here a few years ago. Well, a lot of years ago.
Wow.
But yeah, I used to do like security and all of that stuff.
Did you
So
really?
Once in a while.
Hey, you're a bodyguard.
Yeah. Cue in Whitney Houston.
Right? That makes so much sense now because you arrested Patrick Wilson in the A-Team. So that's
I did.
she did.
I
I
did.
know everything.
I have
I'm a film nerd,
zip
guys.
zip tie skills.
Yeah, that's so funny. I didn't even think about that now because you've played many different law enforcement and so you have all that training already and bodyguards.
What are they trying to tell me? Should I become a cop or something?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe well, like Matt with his pushing carts. Maybe eventually he'll just be a really great cop.
Or just stick with your original plan. You don't need a plan B.
You know what? I kind of like what's happening right now. So I'm going to stick with
that.
this and let's see what happens.
Our hope though is that you get to play a horse cop, the one that rides the horse and does. Is that what they're called?
A Mountie?
Oh,
like a RCMP.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you meant like an
They
animated
are
movie
damn
where there's
right.
a horse that's a cop, and then she would provide the voice.
Well, she could do that too.
Yeah, that's fair. Horse cop.
I could do that.
Someone write that.
We know your show is going to go on for 30 more seasons, so you can't be a permanent fixture, but maybe you can do a guest role as a cop on Chicago PD and come visit sometime.
I would love that.
There you
Or
go.
FBI with Missy. Haha, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Putting it out there.
Hey, that's okay.
Our friend was on Chicago PD as a drug mule. You remember that?
That's true. She was. She's the sweetest,
Yeah, the nicest
the
person
nicest,
I've ever
sweetest
met.
actress. Goes, hey,
Tiniest.
hey, mom, I'm going to be a drug mule tomorrow. But that's why acting's fun, though. I would think, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I like it just because, well, for a while, to tell you the truth, I never really knew who I was, and I always just kind of preferred to not answer that question and then just be other people. But kind of came to a point where you do have to know who you are, because then those lines just get so blurred and you can end up just completely losing yourself in whatever story that you're in. But yeah, no, that's one of the things that I really, really love about what I get to do is you get to just see so many different perspectives on something. Like, to me, I don't think Ivory is as bad as I know she cuts certain things off and eats hearts and things like that. But I mean,
How many of us?
I see
you gotta eat.
she's, that just shows her love and loyalty, which is not bad.
Those are good traits.
So-
I agree.
I think that those are very good traits.
So it sounds like you prescribe to the
Upside
idea
guy.
that you're not a villain, right? You're playing a character who is misunderstood.
That's exactly the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's what I say here on the show. They say I'm a villain, but really I'm just, doing what I think needs to be done.
Right.
No one says that.
And I just think she's just a slightly more eccentric in some of the way that she decides to deal with things. And that's not necessarily bad because she's adapted to her surroundings. And if you were in a vampire apocalypse, I think a lot of people would adopt probably her way. But then again, if you didn't, then she'd probably make you. See, again,
It's a real
determination.
catch-22
That's
there.
all. It's a good thing, right?
We all agree.
We all agree. We just hope that there is no super volcano from at Yellowstone that starts all of this. But if there is, at least we'll know we have you at our back.
Good. I'm glad. You're official members of the sisterhood.
Oh, good. Thank
Finally.
you. See?
We're all going to have to be a little more morally dubious going forward.
Yeah, right. So to end, I wanted to make sure we said this before we ended. So I binged a bunch of The Drive the other night, and I think you're awesome in it. I mean, other people did as well. You won a Leo Award for Best Actress with your work on it. But just wanted you to just kind of explain to some people to check it out, what it's about and what the experience was like, just for those listening. The Drive refers to Commercial Drive, a neighborhood in Vancouver. We don't know much about it here, but at least from the show that we watched. But can you explain a little bit about that and maybe a place that people should check out if they ever visit Vancouver?
Well, definitely East Van is, in my opinion, the heart of this city. And Commercial Drive is in East Van. And what drew me to it is because, I mean, after I graduated high school and moved out, I moved to East Van. And that's my home, you know, and I still live in East Van. And it's just a type of vibe where when you're coming up, I guess this is kind of relatable in any city. And when you're in your 20s to 30s, you just, you know, you start waking up and start realizing that life is not how it is in the movies, and you got to make these decisions and live your life, and you kind of, like, the jig is up. Nobody, you realize that your parents had no idea what they were doing, that nobody has really known what they're doing, and we're all just kind of making it up as you go. And that little moment and that little turn is where this story takes place. You know, you go and, like, you know, as far as my character, Gina, you know, she was running her dad's shop. She was being a good daughter. She was being good friends. She was being a good girlfriend. She was being all of these things that she is, good sister, all that stuff. And then reality smacks you and you realize, well, okay, well, in the sister, in the daughter, in the friend, what am I? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just feel like I've been doing the same thing that led me up to this point, and now I'm awake, and now I don't know how I even got here. And that's what's kind of happened with the other characters too in the story. And I like that it highlighted a time that a lot of shows don't really write about, you know, like there's a lot of, like, the teenage and into the 20s and kind of that transitional years, but not really in the late 20s to early 30s, where a lot happens, a lot of changes. And they make you think that if you have this moment, then you're behind in some sort of way. But actually, that's the norm. Like, you know, you go through the first couple phases of your life, and then that really tells you who you are and what you want to become. And if it doesn't, it actually makes you start asking the questions in the first place. So that's what I really loved about that show, and the fact that, like you mentioned earlier, Vancouver is the Hollywood, the North Hollywood of the industry. And it emulates every city, both fantasy and real. So it was really great to be a part of a project that was about this city, that took place in this city, and everything in between. And, you know, a lot of people can kind of, I don't want to say diss, but, you know, it kind of Canadian, something that takes place in Canada, people are like, not really that interested in. But if you take some time and want to see something new, please go to thedriveseries.com and check it out. I'm really touched that you guys watched it. I'm kind of shocked about that. So thank you so much. So It's really nice of you guys.
Oh no!
And I'm really glad that you liked it.
No, I thought it was great, and we have to do research for writing trivia questions because there's a lot of research, a lot of work that goes into it, and we wanted to give the same effort to any guests that we have. And first we watched your reel, and we know you from Van Helsing and from other things, but then we said, "What's the drive? This looks so cool," and then we ended up binging it. At least 3 of us did, but Matt's on it right now. He's only on episode 3, so
Yeah, no spoilers, guys.
yeah.
The thing is, too, that I really loved about that show is, if you can see through my reel and my resume, most of the time I am playing supernatural characters or, warrior women and things like that, which I love. But it was really nice to just play a regular girl just moving through life and what that brings. So it's a part that's really, really dear to my heart. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch that. Really means a lot.
Yeah, of course. So me and the boys here are really hoping to visit Vancouver one day and check it out for ourselves. But where can we find you online in the meantime, social media-wise?
Social media-wise, it's Jen. And then Twitter, it's at just my full name, Jennifer Cheon.
All right.
Wonderful.
I know it's tricky because my last name, it's pronounced Cheon, but it's spelled Cheon. I don't know exactly what happened there, but yeah.
You hear that, listeners? So when you give her a follow, type it that way, and you'll find her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very easy to find.
And shout out to your dad because you passed the horse quiz, so you should be proud, Mr. John. So
A real horse whisperer.
And
he's a man of very few words, so I think he's going to go, which is good.
is your dad Tom Hardy? But thanks again so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
Oh, I really appreciate yours. Thank you so much, guys.
Our pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time tonight. In I guess late afternoon for you, but we really appreciate it, and just really excited to see what you're going to do next, and just to continue just being great at your craft. So we really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, I really appreciate you guys too. Thank you so much for taking the time and doing the research and talking to me. And if you are ever in Vancouver, please let me know, and I'd love to even give you a tour of the set or whatever we can do.
That'd be awesome.
So just to show that I appreciate what you guys are doing.
I would also pay an exceptional lot of money to watch Neal fall off of a horse.
I'm not lying.
Well, we can arrange that.
It is one of my dreams. So
You're gonna have to sign a waiver, but we'll arrange it.
no, don't worry. No one will get sued. But it is one of my dreams. But yeah, we've been talking about going to Vancouver. We almost were there for a podcast convention. We were going to drive up from Seattle, but didn't happen. So we're
Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year we'll plan something and get it going.
Yeah, let's do it.
And thank
Jen.
you so much to our listeners, for Neal, Jeff, Matt, and myself. This is Ken, and you're listening to Triviality Behind the Trivia.